now.
Hey guys, Gabe here, BigManComics.com. How you doing? It's Monday the 10th, the 9th. I don't know what day it is. We're flying through the year. The year's almost halfway over. My goodness. And I had a good weekend. Kind of busy. Family graduation party. It's that time you write dads and grads. Boy, do dads get the shaft on all this. Yeah, just working a really great celebration point, a milestone in what we're doing here. This is page 101 of the Unstoppable Tyrants, which I started this morning doing the inks on. So that means that we've got 100 pages done out of 125. That's fantastic. I'm very happy with that. It's cruising along. I hope you guys are doing well. If you're in here, hit the like, hit the share, and all of that. I don't know if you saw the news this weekend. There's interesting things going on in California, but one thing you have to, I saw a guy from LA talk about him and his friends. Is like, just so you know, like 90 whatever percent of people up there in LA just were going about their day normally. That stuff that was going on is horrible. And the protest riot, whatever they're doing up there. But it's like confined to a relatively small area, you know. Most of where you go is just whatever, just Sunday, just Saturday. And here in San Diego, things, you know, seem very, very normal. And we'll see what happens with all that. Just remember this. I've told you guys this before. The news is free for a reason. The news is the main goal of the news is not to teach you anything, it's to control your mind. That is what it's for. That's why it's free. It costs billions and billions of dollars to produce the news, yet it's free. Please think about that. That doesn't mean nothing. You know, that's what else costs billions of dollars and is free? You know? I can think of one other thing, and it's just about the worst thing out there, pornography, which should be illegal, by the way. I don't care. First Amendment, I believe in, but that should be illegal. And that's also free. That's very interesting. You know, when you have awful stuff like that and it's free, please understand what they're doing to you. So don't fall for the old divide and conquer. There are quite literally hundreds of millions of us, and if you go around the globe, billions of us, and in the country there are thousands of them, and they do a lot of bad to us, and they want us at each other's throats constantly. Don't. As Eddie Murphy said, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. So, but yeah, it is interesting to. I don't get annoyed by it anymore. I just ignore it. But the non-Californian people and their statements and concepts and ideas of California, it's really annoying. But I just try to ignore it because I don't think it's coming from a bad place. It just comes from ignorance. What people think California is and what it actually is. If you don't live here and you think, why would anyone live here? You're wrong. It is better to live here. Remember, people focus, like humans, it's easy to focus on the glass half empty. And I mean, there's a reason like 12% of Americans live here. There's a very good reason for it. It's still, even with Gavin Newsom and the communist government and whatever, it's still the best place to live in America. It's not even close. Not even close. It's very expensive, but you know, you get what you pay for in life. There's a reason things are expensive. Can you, like, if California was a total piece of crap and it was this expensive, nobody would live here. Show me expensive garbage and I'll show you a thing with no customers, right? People are willing to pay a lot for something that's good. So that's, and I don't need to be a big friend of California. If you don't like it and you don't want to live here, don't. It doesn't bother me. But it is just, I say this, and you'll know this if you're an American watching this. The way you hear foreigners talk about America, how they slander it and they say all these things that you know as an American are not true. They're just weird, exaggerated stereotypes. Unfortunately, you non-Californians, you do the same thing to California. You do that exact same thing. You say this stuff that isn't true and it's slander and it's nonsense. And it used to bother me, and now I'm just like, whatever. You know, it doesn't matter what people say. But what you're seeing on the news is not, you know, what's going on here mostly. And it seems kind of organized, if you ask me. I don't know. That's what Trump tweeted out yesterday. Paid protesters, you know. But I am really glad that Elon Musk's Doge thing kind of opened all of our eyes to the mechanism of how that all that USA and all that. Our own money, allegedly. Our own money used against us, allegedly. That's fascinating and terrible. So, But how is everyone doing today? What do we got going on? Anything?
Yeah. Antonia 707 says, "Good morning, Gabe, Mrs.
Morning,
E
Antonio.
in chat." And Ramdog says, "Gabe, Moxie, keeping your heads down well." Chrome says, "It's going to get bad. This is just the start. This is in regards to what you were just talking
I
about."
was wondering about that. I don't think so. I mean, not that it's great, but I think because of what happened in 2020 with the Floyd protest things, I think Trump and his people, they got to be aware not to let that happen, right? Like, come on. Like, he can't fail us like that. I love Trump. I'd vote for him today if there was an election. But if I told you that I wasn't kind of disappointed with him in some pretty big ways, I'd be lying. And I think I said on Twitter the other day, I got a pretty good response. There are two types of Trump derangement syndrome. There's the leftists where Trump can do anything and it's wrong. Trump helps a old woman cross the street and now he's like, elder abuse or whatever. Like, oh, it's racism, it's fascism. It's just like, it's Trump derangement, right? No matter what he does, it's wrong. There's the reverse of that. There's no matter what Trump does, it's right. And that's not as bad, but it is destructive. You can't be that way. And you also can't be a hater, the smartest guy in the room. Oh, Trump, because I see that on the right wing too, where just Trump's an idiot and all they do is nitpick and complain. It's like, if he's so stupid, why does he have the track record in life he has? But, and my frustrations with him in the administration, it's a lot of stuff I don't know. There's so much behind the scenes and you'll never know. I know as someone who is in the press from time to time, the news is fake. So I know the things I hear about Trump and this and that and the complaints I may have. I don't know the whole story. I don't. And I know he cares. I know someone who had their ear blasted like that and keeps going. They must care. So, and I know he knows more than I do about what's going on and behind the scenes and this and that. It is hard not to get frustrated about it. Because just like, why can't we stop these people that just hate this country and hate this culture? But he didn't care. He wouldn't have kept running. He would have ran away when they got him like that. Whoever they may be, we will never know, right?
Right. Antonio 707 says, "You have to be able to criticize someone you like. It's never 100% good."
Sure. Yeah, we're all open to criticism. All of us, none of us are perfect, and the people we rely on and follow and all that, we got to keep the blinders off. Just always, you got to check your own brain. Like, always remind yourself that you are biased. We are all biased because that's the way the brain is trying to make patterns. So you have confirmation bias. It's like, I think this. The general thought I think is I like Trump. So then when he does things, I'm going to tend to like wash over and favor him. So since I know that, I try to check it in my own head. One of the heuristics I use for the news always is everything is a lie. And now that doesn't mean I really think everything I see in the news is a lie, but that's just a check I have. I hear something that's like, oh, this guy did this, or this Democrat did this horrible thing. And I always go, did they? Because that's exactly what I want to hear, that our side is winning and they're losing and blah, blah. So I always double, triple, like, look into things. I'm not going to just run with something I hear because I love the way it sounds, because that's a trap. When something is right on the nose, your ears should perk up. Not unlike these animal warriors, these mana beasts I have right here. So, yes, your ears should perk up emotionally when you hear exactly what you wanted to hear, because that might not be true.
Right. So, I think what you said is actually a good observation, that there are two Trump derangement syndromes.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that both parties should understand that a person is not always right and a person is not always wrong.
Right. Just forget emotion, forget morality, forget anything, and just
be
a cold,
forget your feelings.
Mathematician, just math, just statistics, probability. It's not possible for someone to always be wrong. It's just not possible. Mathematically, that's not possible. So since that's a fact, that someone cannot always be wrong, then don't look at them as they are always wrong. That'll help you figure things out. Because I think a huge part of success and going forward in life and progress is understanding the world around you. And if you are dishonest with yourself, You will get the wrong answers and you will fail in life, or struggle at least. And you will fail the people around you if you won't be honest about what's happening in your life and the world around you. So this is why it's so important to fight your biases and just admit to yourself that I am biased. All human beings are biased, not for some evil, malicious reason, but because your brain is trying to make patterns to survive. So it's going to use confirmation bias. Like, well, I kind of think it's like this. So what fits my pattern? You know, that's what your brain is constantly doing. So just be aware of that. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right. Antonio 707, this goes back to what's happening in LA. There's a couple comments. He says, was watching Jeremy on Geeks and Gamers and D-Day Cobra about the riots. He was stream snipping people on the street.
Sniping, just you know.
Oh, well, it was written as snipping.
Oh.
Crazy stuff, he says. And then, let's see.
Well, we know from the Elon Musk USAID and all that thing, we know that many of these are paid. Now, I saw on Twitter, but I'm going to use my heuristic of, is this fake? I saw on Twitter a guy saying, oh, look at these Craigslist ads. They're looking for big badass guys for protests and this, that, and the other. I don't know if that's real. I know I saw it. Could be fake. You don't know. There's the fog of war, right? You don't know what's real, what's not, what's a red herring, what's disinformation. You don't know. But we have learned from the past that there are paid agitators. You know, so a lot of these things you see here in America, other countries, there's some money involved with shipping people around and getting them nicely printed posters and teaching them. I saw a San Diego political account that I really do respect. I've talked to the lady personally. She's great for exposing things right here. Talking about like protesters, left-wing protesters, ostensibly, doing drills, like physical drills of, I guess, how to march and how, nothing illegal, it said, but how to march and how to handle this and how to handle that. Here in San Diego yesterday, I guess that's something they were meeting at 8 in the morning at some park to go do. So,
but in such a way as copying the military.
That's what they said. Yeah, it kind of alluded to that. You know, they're very careful what they write. You know, they got to be very careful.
Right.
So, but you know, it's interesting times. But there's that old saying in war and combat: when you're taking flak, you're over the target. And I would say to anyone who hates Trump and is on the left, divorce yourself from your emotions for a minute and just ask yourself, why do you think there's been this reaction to Trump for 8, 9, 10 years? Just ask yourself that. Like, look at the reaction to him and look at who is reacting to him. The worst people in the world hate him and are trying to stop him constantly. The authoritarians, the elites, the mega business class, donor class that wants to treat all of us as peasants and slaves hate him and want to stop everything he's doing. Now, if you look at who that is and you look at what they do and what they want, you can connect some dots in your head of what might be going on. I don't know. I'll leave it to you to figure that one out. You know. So we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know what's, maybe you know about this, Gabe, but Remdog1138 says it's Keith Oberman versus Cat Turd.
Those are just, Keith Oberman was a famous ESPN reporter for years. Then he became a MSNBC news reporter. He has level 4,000 Trump derangement. He's insane and hysterical. Very not masculine and that's how he acts. All it's like, oof. Like, you can have any opinion you want, buddy, but like, get a hold and do a push-up, man. Like, get your testosterone level checked. The way he behaves is nuts and really embarrassing for him. And Cat Turd is a boomercon who I don't like either. Cat Turd is a huge, 2 million followers on Twitter, and he is Trump can do no wrong, 2 weeks, trust the plan, fights with everyone, less like a crazy egomaniac. Like that disgusting, like ego out of control, thinks they're a celeb because they post on Twitter. I don't know. These people, I think on the left and the right, they don't help anything. I think they just metaphorically pour gas on the fire. People like this, they're not elevating the discourse or the thought. They're just scoring points by being ugly, being mean.
So I take it they're warring against each other.
They must be. I don't follow either one because they're so annoying. Just so annoying. You know me. You've seen me my whole career, Adrian, how famous I became in comics and this, that, and the other. And what do I think of celebrity? My own quote-unquote celebrity. When people line, you've seen the lines of ComicCon. thousands of people getting my autograph in an hour. Am I ever a celebrity or anything like that? Like in my own mind?
No.
It's ridiculous to me. I'm just like the person you see here. It's who I am. It's who you're going to see in private, in public, whatever. I don't like that whole celebrity thing is so gross and weird to me. I don't like, like really indulging in the concept of everyone kissing your ass or whatever. That's
So are you saying at these signings you're not wearing an ascot and
no. I'm saying
and carrying a palette?
I make them talk to you and not look directly at me.
Don't make direct eye contact.
Right. Yeah. That's and I feel like, even on, and again, this is being honest and not just favoring your side. Like guys like Turd, I think they're a net negative for conservatives, and I think that's tapping into the immature rage that we all want to feel. And like, yeah, he's mean to the left and embarrasses them. And it's like, is that helping? Is that convincing anyone to change sides? Is that convincing anyone to think? Or is he just being an asshole, an arrogant weirdo? Like what does that? When did insulting people persuade them? How do you win hearts and minds and all that when you just think you're, I don't know what I mean, Turd, what a name. Jeez, what an annoying dude. So, but there's these people and they get a little bit of something going on Twitter or whatever, and they think they're hot shit. Turns out he's just a cold Turd. So I don't know. There's things you can talk about, things you can't talk about, internet beefs and all. We can't really say, but remember the thing I was talking about Las Vegas this morning?
I
The Las Vegas live streamers.
Oh yes.
Can't really talk about it on here because it's very criminal, but stuff like that's really sad to me, weird to me how people get online. How they get. And I'm not talking about the Vegas people anymore. I'm just talking about anyone that gets like angry and weird and online fighting and all this, making an enemy out of someone on social media, and you don't even know them, dude. Like, I don't know. It's where did the humanity go? Would you talk this way, like in person? Like, wouldn't you have more patience and more reason if you were seeing someone in person? I don't know.
Well, I think people are really taking, like playing Russian roulette sometimes with going after people and picking fights because you don't know at all who's behind the keyboard. And
how sane and stable
right,
they may or may not be.
Right. I mean, and it goes in all directions of, how insane they might be. But like some of them, like the
you better watch what you say.
The
people, 100% serious. Be careful.
The actors that get the people that become obsessed with them.
Right.
And then start to follow them and show up at places. Like people don't know who they're talking to on the other side of the keyboard, and to just say anything, I think you're playing Russian roulette sometimes.
Yeah, you got to be real careful with interacting. Very careful when you're dealing with people online and talking to them, because again, you don't know. You think you do, but this is all fake. That's one thing people don't like to admit and tell themselves. This is all fake. And as much as I would like any fans or backers or customers online, it isn't a real relationship. It cannot be. It cannot be because it's too one-sided. If you're the host like me, it's too much to my side. It's my show, my schedule, my this, my that. And that's not how relationships in the real world are. Relationships in the real world are give and take, you know what I mean? And online, it's not as much. So, I do think the whole online thing, it's very important, it's very useful, but I do think there's a lot of negatives too because of human nature, the way we interact with each other, and trying to learn how to deal with this distorted way we have relationships online. To me, I always think of it as an imposter thing. Like artificial ingredients, artificial colors and flavors are not good for you compared to real food. And I liken social media that way. It's not a real relationship. It can never be. And it is the artificial flavor version of it. And if you're not careful, it can be pretty bad, That's why you have to be mindful of what you're doing on here, who you're talking to, how you're interacting, and,
Right. Ain't it crazy?
Yeah. So, And I do think it, since it distills things down, but it distorts them, it can accelerate things pretty bad online discourse. Things can go from 0 to 60 pretty quick online, as far as fighting and debating, because you're not afraid of words on a screen. They're just letters on your phone screens. You say shit you would never say in person, and I think that's a really bad thing. It's a very bad. And I do wonder what it's like for younger people who grew up with this, because we didn't grow up with it, right? We grew up in the real flesh and blood world. For the first 20, for me, born in '78, for the first 20 something years of my life, I didn't get an online account until November of '99. So I was already 22 years old when I got America Online, and even then I didn't go online much. And I got a Twitter account when they started because I thought it'd be important to have and put my name on it. I didn't start using social media really until, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't even watch YouTube until 2017. I had a Gmail account since 2004 or whatever, which means I had a YouTube account. I didn't even watch YouTube, let alone go online, until 2017. So
That's crazy to think that it was in 1999 and how old you were. Very young, but old for the internet, I guess. But you also had 2 kids.
Right. But it means that internet culture wasn't normalized to me, because
Right.
my formative years, I didn't use it,
What we did not get recorded online.
Right. And, we had some friends that had, more money or whatever, and they had internet since like 95 or whenever people first started getting it. But we didn't even get it then. Some people were getting it back in 1995 and all that. And, but didn't get it, wasn't too interested in it, didn't think about it, wasn't part of my daily life. And I was bored one day and had a free trial of America Online. So I'm like, let's get this and see what it's about.
And we were very worried about the small writing and what we were getting ourselves into.
Yeah. So.
On a lighter note, Chrome is asking, what comic is this, Gabe?
This is the Unstoppable Tyrus. If you like superheroics, like the Incredible Hulk, if you like Ninja Turtles, if you like weird stuff like The Legend of Zelda, with time travel and ancient prophecies and civilizations, you're gonna love this. I drew from this all the things I love. I had a short idea. That's weird. A germ of an idea from Tyrus about this. We talked about it. I had some ideas about husbands, fathers, heroics. He had some ideas about it, and he told me what he thought of the character and who the character is. It's the same thing with Dean Cain. Who the character is and what is the point of the story, like the main moral of the story, like a moral of the fairy tale. And then I just created a whole world and characters and a concept that would be a vehicle for that story. So this is a really good one, a very personal one for him and me. And without spoiling anything, I can tell you the point of this story is growing up, but it's not a coming of age. There's not a kid in it, but it's like being a man and you are impulsive and you do what you want to do and you cause some real trouble for yourself and others, and you got to eventually stop screwing things up. You got to get a hold of yourself emotionally and learn to control yourself correctly so you can be who and what you need to be for yourself and the people around you. So the point of this story is kind of like going from a screw up to a hero, and it's really fun. I don't overdo it. I look at it like salt. You need just enough. I put enough comedy in it to make it fun, but I don't overdo it like they do with the stupid Marvel movies where there's just too much yuck. So, but there's plenty of action, gorgeous visuals, crazy, intriguing story, and you'll love this one. And this one, I'm working on putting together a preview at ComicCon that you have to come in person to get. I don't know that I would sell that online. Maybe I would. I don't know. But then we'll do the crowdfunding for this, I believe, in the fall. But I got 25 pages left to draw, and I do a page a day, so I'll be done sooner rather than later. But I have other projects I'm working on, other things, so we'll get it done. We'll get it done, and you'll have great reading it. You're gonna love this thing.
And if anybody's going to be here during Comic-Con, we are currently in the planning stages of a party on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome party. We might have some really huge guests that you know of and love, other people you watch on YouTube and things like that. We're working with them to make this party. We had a great party last year with, we had Nerdrotic, the people from Film Threat, Craig from Side Scrollers. We had Quarter Black Garrett. We had a lot of great people there, and it was a really fun party. I was, for years, I think this will be my 10th year of doing it, having a kickoff party for ComicCon. You know what I mean? For the San Diego Comic-Con. So we're going to get info out about that soon. And if you're in the Southern California, and you don't need a ticket to Comic-Con to come, if you can't get into the convention center, this is a fun way to meet some of us and have a good time. So,
Right.
But yeah, it's a fun time of year. We kind of focus the year around this point, since we live in San Diego, and San Diego's the biggest convention in the world. We do like to make sure we have a good presence there. We're going to have a booth, obviously, like we always do. You can come by, and some people might be there to get their autograph and be able to pick up some merchandise, some books, and things like that. It's going to be a lot of fun, as it always is. So. But, I can't do it without you guys. I need your help. I need you guys to always hit the like and the share and tell people about this. Tell people to come in, hang out and chat and all that stuff. We grow it. We have a fun time here. You know me, I'm an open book. We can talk about whatever. You can ask me whatever. I'm very, I try to be accessible to people. And that's one thing you got to be careful with, because if you're a little too accessible, then you're going to spend all your time answering questions and doing stuff, and then not get your work done on time. But I try to be accessible. I made it in this business from a lot of hard work and God's blessing, but also people were accessible to me, willing to talk to me and give me advice and pointers. And, I think that's an important thing to do, as long as people are operating in good faith.
So this has nothing to do with what you're talking about.
That's all right.
But how sometimes I read Reddit and just different topics on there. I saw am I overreacting? And I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I was gonna ask you and Jericho this, but I'll just ask you. A guy wrote on there that his wife wanted to bring her work husband on vacation with them.
Why isn't this guy divorced?
And was he said no, and was he overreacting? He thought it was a bit too much.
First of all, you shouldn't have it's not cute, it's not funny, it's not quirky, it's not a big deal. This whole stupid meme of a work wife, a work husband, you're being a piece of shit if you're doing that. Not funny, it isn't cute, it isn't innocent. What's your problem? You're disgusting, and you're just, why you wish someone if you're going to humiliate them, degrade them? What's your problem? Like, haven't you done enough? Leave him alone. Now, of course, he's not overreacting. It's absurd, and well, he's underreacting like a coward. If I was his buddy, I'd call him out to his face for being a puss. Why aren't you divorced? Oh, the kids, the money. You have any self-respect, dude? What do you think she's doing here? Like, what kind of woman is that? Horrible. What a piece of shit she is. If any of this is true. Remember, I told you my own heuristic is, I don't know. Because I do know there are forces out there that want us constantly scared, angry, divided, this, that, and the other. And you better be careful what you see on Twitter and Reddit and 4chan or any other place. And you better realize a lot of those things never happened. They're there to piss you off and demoralize you. That is by design. I got into a debate with someone, but I quickly stopped because I don't want to cast my pearls before swine and waste my time. But I was trying to explain to the guy why filth in movies and music and comics and all that matters, because it is scientifically understood that stories are the most potent form of persuasion. And when you persuade people that things are true, whether they are true or not, they act on them. And when people act on them, hey, you're controlling people and getting them to do what you want for your benefit and to their detriment. And he was very upset that I thought people were so stupid they couldn't tell the difference between fantasy and reality, which is something I never said. But that's what people do when they're ignorant. They don't know how to debate anything. They say that you say things you didn't say. Like, I'm well aware that you know that Deadpool isn't real. Subconscious doesn't know that. The same reason you jump and a monster jumps onto the movie screen. Your awake brain understands it isn't real, but your subconscious, which is arguably more powerful than your consciousness, doesn't know because it can't know. It doesn't have the systems in it to understand fantasy is just that. Only your conscious mind knows that. Your subconscious will never know that. It can't know that. Your subconscious is like stimulus response. That's it. There's no logic in it. There's no cognition. The cognition is the waking brain, so cognition will be able to think about things and think about thinking about them. Subconscious can't do that. And that's why storytelling is so important and so powerful, and that's why it's captured. It's captured by those that want to enslave you and are doing a pretty damn good job of it too, enslaving most people ideologically. So whenever you see all this divisive, hateful shit, like that horrible, that you gotta be careful what you say. The British woman, the Bonnie Blue lady.
Oh,
I've told you that I thought that. Now I don't know. Maybe there's actual video footage. I don't subscribe to OnlyFans or anything like that. But I've told you, as horrible as it is, it's like, is this a psyop? Is it's like, maybe it's really happening? They're doing all these horrible things and making these horrible movies, but is it being pushed by very powerful people to gross everyone out, demoralize them, and get you to? Ugh. They want you feeling like that all the time. Glass half empty, defeated, this and that. So you'll just go to your little job, make your money for the boss, pay your taxes for the elites, and that's it. They don't want you to have any power, any agency, any hope, anything. They don't want you to believe life could be good, because if you believe life could be good, then you try. And if you try, you can get out from under their thumb. They don't want you thinking that. They want you to think life is a miserable, disgusting, horrible place. And then there's no way out, so what's the point? They want you like Eeyore. Okay. Right? That's how they want you. Or just, okay, I'll just go to work.
And people do get demoralized. You look at what's going on out there and you start to think, what can I even do about this? And why aren't the people who can do something about it doing something about it? And then you realize, oh, they're also working against me.
Right.
And so it's very easy to fall into that. I was like, I'm just I have work tomorrow. I don't have time to think about this,
Right. Yeah. So, there's a verse of the Bible that says, focus on whatever is so pure and lovely.
Right.
Your brain is eating. It's eating information. It's eating actions. And you are what you eat. And if you eat filth constantly in your mind, then your mind's going to be unhealthy. And that's a big part of pushing degeneracy. I've told you over and over, and the audience knows too, that it really upsets me how people that are against woke, against filth, allegedly against all this stuff, they sit there and they watch The Boys and Deadpool and just laugh. If you're supporting things like Deadpool and The Boys, you might as well just watch the horrible Snow White and all that. And in fact, if I had to have one of my kids watch a movie, that awful woke Snow White or Deadpool, I would say please watch Snow White instead. At least it isn't sexual degeneracy and drugs. It's horrible and woke and leftist and feminist. It's a better movie. Spiritually and morally, it's a better movie than Deadpool, which is just pure hatred and filth and snark. You don't need things like that in your life. And it really disturbs you that people that claim to understand the evil of woke, they're just swallowing Deadpool whole and going, that was delicious, I'll have another. Like, I don't get it. Like, you gotta wake up. Like, that's so evil, that shit.
I've never seen Deadpool, but when I was
2 movies I wanted to walk out of the theater.
When I was told what was in it and that like junior high kids were going to it, I was appalled because I would not want my junior high kids to have watched that.
I don't want adults to watch it. Now they're free.
Or even high schoolers. Yeah.
I don't want that for anyone. It's the damn reason I quit working at DC. A lifelong dream that is so hard to attain. I quit working there because I don't want people consuming filth. No, I can't control people. I have no right to control people, but I have a right to control myself and not contribute to it.
Well,
Goodness.
and I agree. But to the point of Deadpool, is as a parent, I think you think they're going to see a superhero movie.
Right.
And in no way would you imagine that it has some of the filth that's going on in there and some of the props that were in there. And then
It's just jokes, though.
And then
Just
your
jokes.
children are watching this, and if they didn't know about those things or had ever seen one, now they have. So to me, that's hurting their minds,
I've had
like
stupid people tell
touching
me,
their minds.
well, it's funny. As if your like dopamine is the measure of whether something is immoral or not. Like, I don't doubt that it's funny. I do understand how humor works. Humor can be bad for you. I don't know if you're aware of this, but just feeling pleasure and dopamine is not the measure of whether something is moral or not. I don't think I have to explain that to anyone.
Well, and that goes back to
cocaine makes you feel good. How could it be bad? Right? Because it kills people. They get addicted. All the crime involved with producing it. Like, there's nothing good about it. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, that goes back to why conservatives need to support the arts, because these movies like Deadpool, they are well made. And as a person critiquing that movie, you can't lie to yourself and say that the movies are they're not even made well anyway. That's not true. They're made very well.
To be clear, Deadpool checks every box. Well written, well acted, very funny, good special effects. It's like, it does everything right. That's not what makes a movie bad.
It's the message.
It's the message is the only thing that makes something good or bad. You could have something with a great message. The acting is bad, the writing is bad, the this and that, and it's like, now it's mediocre because even though you had a good message, you couldn't deliver your message properly. But the people making Deadpool, they're great artists. They know what they're doing. They know how to do it. But it's like, it's still bad for you. Just because something has high quality in its craftsmanship does not make it moral. And I just feel like people are so blind to this on the side that's you're trying to fight, the degeneracy of the culture. And I've told you, so what are they even fighting woke for? Like, I don't even understand why they're against it then. If you're for, I have news for you, okay? I'll never back down from this. If you are for the boys and Deadpool, you're not against woke. You are supporting woke, okay? So if you want to tell me about your Concord video game and all your Snow White bitch and this and that, you're just as supportive of woke if you support stuff like that. Sorry, that's how it is. And you need to wake up about that. It's nonsense. So gross, that stuff.
I think people don't. I think it's like the slippery slope. A lot of people say that doesn't exist, but it's, you keep pushing the envelope and it ends up that you get to Deadpool and you're like, well, it was funny. It's just a joke, but it's, I don't know. It's not good. And people need to really think about what they're consuming, because it does affect you, even if you think it doesn't. As Scott Adams says, persuasion, right? On the pants. You know what I'm talking about, Gabe? On the sweatpants.
No.
That was written.
Oh, yeah, I saw a meme once. It was some girl's butt. She had pants on, but they were, skin tight. It was very, very sexual image. And it said on the meme, persuasion works on you whether you know it's persuasion or not. The metaphor I always use is alcohol. It's like, oh, well, this perverted Deadpool movie, it can't persuade me because I know they're trying to persuade me. So I'm just going to enjoy the laugh, but yet not be persuaded to have perverted thinking in my mind. That's not how your subconscious works. Your subconscious cannot do that. Never, can't do it. And it would be just like this. I know that this is just filled with pure grain alcohol, Everclear, vodka, whatever. But since I know it's alcohol, now it won't make me drunk. So go. And like, oh, I'm not drunk because I knew. That's not how that works. You can know everything you want to know consciously. Your subconscious can't do that. CANT, can't. There's no exception. There's no you're special. You're going to willpower it. That it can't. Like, you can't flap your arms and fly. You can't do that. It's not possible. It is 100% impossible to do that with persuasion. So that's why you shouldn't put filth in your mind, because you're not going to be able to stop it from persuading you. You know, and if you watch that stuff enough of it long enough, you're going to agree with its ideas if the artists are good at what they do. And Ryan Reynolds and all those people are very good at what they do. They are. So that's why you shouldn't put that stuff in your head.
Right. Diane Francis says, what's the date for Comic-Con?
July 23rd through the 27th.
And I thought this was funny. Claude Parrish says, Fan Expo in New Orleans smelled like the biggest convention ever. We've run into some people like that and at Comic-Con, and I never understand that. I always think, can they smell themselves?
I don't know.
Maybe not.
I am fully convinced you can like pop culture and bathe. I'm convinced that's true.
When you were talking about your party earlier and saying you don't have to be at the San Diego convention to go, Heather says, I have more fun outside the convention. It's a good time.
Cool. Yeah.
I've heard that before. I have lucked out that I, through Gabe, have always gone inside the convention, but I've heard that so many people come down even if they don't have tickets because there's so much to do outside.
Downtown's alive.
Yeah, and there really is. I think Petco Park is filled with different like interactive tents and stuff like that for people to do. And like one year they had an Assassin's Creed obstacle course.
Right.
That our son stood in line for.
Right, but since he was like 13, they didn't let him do it without an adult. He stood in line for like 2 hours to do the stunt course.
I guess one of us had to be there to sign a waiver for him to be able to do it, and he just said forget it and left, but he was so upset.
What a stupid world we live in sometimes.
And there was nothing crazy about it. I think at the end he went down a slide.
Yeah, this thing is either safe or it's killing people. Right? Like, what are we doing?
Right. Let's see. Going back to the, this popped up earlier and I didn't get a chance to put it in there, but when you were saying that having work husbands and wives is just so disrespectful, Hardy Harmonica said, I agree with Gabe 100%.
I would be hard pressed to find anyone saying that disagree. Thank you for agreeing with me, but it's kind of like this is not imperfect. This is like agreeing with me that water's wet. Like, yeah, no shit, you don't have a work husband or a work wife.
I think that's like super disrespectful, obviously, but I know somebody.
It's
awful. I was visiting them, and they, in front of their husband, because I was talking to them, and their husband said that, yeah, her work husband was blah blah blah. I don't remember the story, but. You know, I try and control my face and not look astonished or dumbfounded and be like, oh, yeah.
Huh? Why do we cotton to those people, though? These stupid maniac people, why do we like, well, I won't offend them? They have no problem offending me, telling me about their stupid work wife concept.
Well, I think in this case, it's like, I don't want to be sitting there arguing in the middle of a husband-wife argument by interjecting. Like, you allow her to say work husband? Like, you know, I probably wouldn't be friends anymore because I'd be starting a fight, or maybe it's already a sore subject. Or I had this is the first time in... how long I've been friends with them, almost 20 years, I think. And they said that. I was like, wow. I just can imagine that. You know, because you're openly and actively being, like, and not only that is like, okay, so if you go home and say this, that means at work you're acting like that, and everybody at work knows. So everybody at work is laughing at your wife or your husband because
here comes the wife, watch out. You know?
Right.
Weird. You know, I was thinking lately, all I see, and again, social media is a distortion of reality. It's not reality. Most people are living pretty good, pretty normal, pretty happy in the day-to-day. But the conglomerate of the public sentiment on social media is one of misery, discontent, complaining, anger. Everything feels hollow and empty and like there's nothing to live for. And I notice people hate their they hate their entertainment. And I think I figured out why. I was thinking about it last night. They're like, oh, then like this new Nintendo came out. And I remember when I was a kid and the new Nintendo came out, it was a joyous occasion. Everyone was excited. And like, you know, new movie, new video game, new this, new that. And it all comes out and all people do is complain and are furious and angry all day. And there's legitimacy to some of it. But I think one of the bigger things that is going completely unseen is it's empty calories. And it's the focus of people's life. I told you going back probably 15 years that entertainment was the religion of Western culture and that was a very bad thing.
Yes.
It had become the focal point of Western culture entertainment, whether that be TV, movies, streaming, video games, music, or eating jalapeno poppers at the trendiest restaurant and blah, blah, blah. But entertainment has become the religion. And it's a religion of self because entertainment is about dopamine, ultimately, if you're doing it that way. Now, entertainment has its place in life, and it's a very beautiful, important thing, but entertainment should be the icing on the cake. It should not be the cake itself. The cake itself is going out of yourself and loving others, loving God, and all that. That's the cake. You build a great cake of a life by being a good person. The Bible says if you love others as yourself, you fulfill all of my law. So when I always laugh when people say, oh, what's the meaning of life? I don't know. I was like, the meaning of life is to love other humans and love God. That's you were told. And when you do it, you can feel it. It's not confusing with the meaning of life. It's not a mystery, nor is it complex. I think when we make the meaning of life the latest streaming piece of shit show on Netflix, of course you're going to hate the show. You're going to actually start to hate and resent these things because of how much they're hurting you. Because we'll simplify it with food. You're supposed to eat healthy food, and then you'll have a healthy body. Same for your spirit, right? You're supposed to live a good, loving life, and then your spirit and mind will be healthy. If you just ate Cheetos every day for every meal, you would be very anemic, sick, possibly, overweight. You'd be miserable. And on a subconscious level, you'd look at that bag of Cheetos and you would hate it. You would. And that's how entertainment has become the main meal. Entertainment has become the main course of life. And it really, it's a maladaptive strategy to handle anxiety and misery and boredom and depression. Because people are depressed because they're not living in the mode they're supposed to live in. They're supposed to be loving and be family-oriented and God-oriented. And they're like, instead they're like, oh, I'm going to play Super Mario Kart for 12 hours today. And then they wonder why they feel psychotic and sick and depressed. It's like you just ate like a truck bed full of Cheerios. And you wonder why you're unhealthy. So I think a lot of the anger and resentment and the hatred and the constant bitching and moaning about pop culture stuff is because it's all they're doing. It's become their God. It's become the point of their lives, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And, if they're not getting any true nutrition, spiritually, mentally, whatever, because they're not doing the things you're supposed to do. I don't know. It's a theory I have about this stuff.
I think that's correct. I think people don't realize that there's a spot in your life meant for religion. And it will get filled by something.
Yeah, there are no atheists. I always think that's cute when people think they're an atheist. You're not an atheist. You either believe in God or you believe you are God. Everyone has a religion, whether it's science, leftism, communism, actual religion, believing in God. Everyone has a religious belief. Our brains are wired for the structure of religion because God is real. And you can, just like eat Cheetos instead of real healthy food, you can have a fake religion instead of the real one, the real relationship with God and family and all that. And I think one thing that would help a lot of people is to think about what they think about. Really think deeply. Okay, I did this, and then there was a problem. Why did I do it? Not just it's wrong. Like, let's go further. Why did I do that? Why did I think that? Why did I want to do it? Why did I try to justify it? Really think, and you'll figure it out. If you're honest, you have to be honest about what's going on. But I do think the replacing of a good life with just consuming entertainment, it sickens people. It makes them miserable, and they're not aware, and they get more. It's like a drug addict. They have all their sadness, depression, anxiety, whatever, and they take drugs to feel better, and they don't get better. They feel, like they feel high from the drugs for a minute, and then that goes away, and the problems are there, and the problems get worse and worse and worse, and they feel worse and worse, and they take more and more and more. It's like video games are no different. TV and movies are no different. You should not be using them that way. Again, they should be a fun lark. It should be a side thing in your life. It should be an icing on the cake, all this entertainment. It should not be the point of your life.
Right. Nate Webb said, totally correct. We are created to worship. And RemDog1138 says, you worship the creator or the creation.
Yeah.
And then Nate says, we will find something to worship.
Yep. I do believe that. I believe you believe in God, or you believe you are God. And it's like, I think people that believe they are God, they don't realize that that's what they're doing. But if everything is about your feelings and feeling good and no one ever offending you and always having to have pleasure, that's the worship of self, that you've made yourself God. Who's to say what's right and wrong and blah, 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 and all that stuff? That's you have anointed yourself God. And it's a very pernicious thing. It's a very easy thing to do, and because you don't see it when you do it. It just seems to feel correct and make sense. It's like, well, why should I be sad? And it's like, well, because sometimes life is sad. You don't get your way all the time. It's crazy. Nobody does. But we've have this culture now where it's like, and maybe it's not now. Maybe it's always been. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I haven't always been around. But I know nowadays it's very important in the secular culture to never feel bad. That is like the rule. Anything that makes you feel bad is wrong. And that isn't true. So I don't know. I do think the over-reliance and indulgence on pop culture and media is really bad for people. Very unhealthy. Because again, it's like eating Cheetos and trying to feel satiated. You're never going to feel satisfied, and you're going to actually just start to feel worse and worse and worse. Because it can't give you the vitamins and the macronutrients that you need. It can't. It's a fucking Cheeto. Can't do that. So I don't know. I think some people are miserable because they want the benefits of a family-oriented Christian society. They don't want to be family-oriented and Christian. It's like, that's what gave us the West. Don't complain to me. That's a fact. That's what the West, the people that built the West, that's generally who and what they were. So that was the recipe. Now you want the result, but you don't want to follow the recipe. Man, it's not going to work. So, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I think you can ask Adrian. I think about this stuff a lot.
A lot. You think about what you think about.
But I don't know. I want answers for me and everyone. I don't want people to be miserable. It's terrible. But I know that there's no way around. You have to go through it, not around it. I think people spend a lot of time trying to dodge hard work, discipline, things like that. And it ain't going to work. I have a saying I always tell people. It's like, you either deal with the problem or it's going to deal with you.
Yep.
You deal with it or it's going to deal with you. There's no ignoring it till it goes away. That's not typically how things work.
That's for sure. And I think people don't think about that when you don't fix things or you don't have discipline, life will end up disciplining you. Right.
Pay me now, pay me later.
Exactly.
And when you pay later, you're going to pay with interest. And it's going to suck. So I'm not mad at, I'm not criticizing people. My heart kind of breaks for people that are lost and living horrible lives. And they think they're doing the right thing because of all this bad media and brainwashing out there. They're being tricked into self-destruction, They're being told, oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. Just do this. Live your truth. Do this, that, and the other. And then it destroys them. And then when they're heartbroken and ruined and all alone and everything didn't work out, the devil's just laughing at them,
Right.
They unfortunately got fooled. And, we've all been fooled in life. And it costs them. And sometimes it can cost you everything.
It can, and that's awful because I think it's sad and it hurts different people to sit and watch someone who's suffering through something because of the choices they've made, because they chose not to work hard, or they chose not to be disciplined, or, you know, they chose to try that drug or whatever it is.
My uncle had this thing he would say to me when I was young. He said to all the nephews, he's like, you know why I'm not a heroin addict? Because I never tried it. And it's like, simplistic as that sounds, it's brilliant. It's simplicity.
Right.
Because like, oh yeah, if I don't do the first one, I can't do the second one. It's impossible. And it's just like, you know, heartbreaking to see the homeless people on the freeway off ramp, and they're just, you know, you can tell they're just strung out on whatever drug. And that was someone's beautiful. Take that 50-year-old man with the snaggly beard and the yellow stains on his clothes, and now I want you to make him in your mind a cute little 3-year-old boy, same human, you know, just 48 years ago, running in the front yard screaming because he's playing with the sprinkler. That was real. A real perfect, beautiful little baby. Somebody failed them when they were little, and they made choices and this, that, and the other. But you don't stop being worthy of love just because you get older or just because you screw up. You know, it's horrible. And again, this is why I want to spread the messages I want to spread. Do I think I can save the world with comic books? I don't need to. I could save one life.
Right.
I could save 100. I don't know. I could do something. And this is what I'm good at, you know? So maybe I'll save none and I'll inspire someone else who'll save lives. I don't know. But the point is, I'm good at this. I might as well try and do something good with it, you know? So, because, yeah, someone was trying to, oh, you're stupid. You think you're going to save the world with comic books? It's like, well, this is what I'm very good at. So I might as well try and get some good use out of it. You know? I don't know why that makes you mad, but okay.
Right.
I don't know.
The Woke Breaker says, "Hail chat." And I don't know how to say this name, but it looks like Oingoy Boy.
Ungoy boy.
Ungoy Boy.
Ungoy means ugly in Tagalog.
Oops.
That's
So ugly boy.
It's one of our Filipino friends. He's Ungoy.
He says, "What up,
We
Gabe?"
can call him Mabaho. That's wait, is Mabaho smelly? What is pretty?
I don't know.
Malakeng. Oh, I can't even remember. I was in middle school when I was taught these words.
But
Mabaho means like you stink or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
He said, "What up, Gabe? Glad you got out of LA."
Oh yeah, we were in LA last week. Good thing we weren't there now. Yeah. And we that bridge where you see them with the police there, I'm pretty sure that's the bridge for the 101. We drive right under that bridge every time we go up there to Hollywood.
Yeah, I think they were on the 101.
But it was the bridge is there by downtown LA.
Uh-huh.
That you drive on with those ugly paintings of those kids.
Oh, that's still the 5, but they were on the, I believe they were on the 101. Ungoy Boy says Maganda is pretty.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Let's see. Claude Parrish said he tried to smoke once after a coughing fit and getting watery eyes. I wondered how people did it. I never did it again.
Yeah, I bought a pack of Marlboro Reds when I was 18 and smoked them all in the parking lot of a grocery store. And that was the end of that.
That's funny.
So I think I just got like a headache or something. Like, okay, well, that was expensive and stupid. It does. I hate to say, but because of Hollywood and all that, smoking looks cool, and that's bad. You know, because it's not great for you. And but like you see those old movie stars of yesteryear, and they got the cigarette. And I don't know. Just damn. Thank goodness I don't smoke.
It does look cool though. They made it look cool, and then they had.
I suppose they could have made anything look cool. It's Hollywood.
That is true, but like, you know, then they made it look cool first, and then they had to go campaign and make it be very uncool. So, well, it's just about time to go. And Antonia said, another great stream. Thanks, Gabe, Miss E, and chat. Have a great day.
Yeah. All right. It's noon.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, go to BigManComics.com. Get the Encino American LAWMAN Volume 1. I should get a batch of Empyrean books from the printer this week. I think they'll be here Thursday. I'll take a look at those, go over final proof. That's how much I care, guys. I'm printing some up just to look at now and show the possible, like, just some other stuff with the convention and stuff like that. We're going to have a great time at San Diego Comic-Con. We should have a meetup, an awesome party, as we have had 9 years previous. We've had 9 of them so far. A great party with some great guests. And you don't need a ticket for Comic-Con or anything like that to come in and meet us at this party. It's going to be awesome. I don't know what night it's going to be. I'm thinking it's going to be closer to the weekend, one of the major nights of Comic-Con. So follow me on X. I'm Big Man Comics on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm Gabe LT. And on TikTok, I'm Big Man Comics 1. I believe it's a brand new account. I barely posted it. So we're going to start TikToking, apparently. I'll see you guys tomorrow, Monday through Friday, 11 to noon Pacific, right here on this channel. Like and subscribe, guys. Like and subscribe and get other people to come in. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.